Alright, welcome back to another tutorial video. Guys, this is Destiny School of DJ, and in this video we'll be talking about the remaining topics which we are supposed to be finished for the CDJ player parts. So basically we'll be talking about the tempo ranges, what is a tempo range, what are the different tempo ranges, and the different looping techniques and looping options which we have. And we'll be talking about few more important things which are left out in the CD player parts, so we'll be covering that in this video. So make sure you're tuned in, and make sure if you don't know what exactly a mixer does and what are all these knobs, you can check out our previous videos. We have clearly mentioned and explained every knob in two of our tutorial videos in two different parts. And now let's get started into the main section of this tutorial video. So in the previous section, I have already told you that this is the tempo fader, and the sensitivity of the tempo fader is not defined as in the volume fader. When we go up and down the volume, that means we know how much volume we are increasing or decreasing by the amount or the numerical value which is given over here. So right now we can't really tell how much, if you're going up and down the tempo fader, we can't really tell how much of it is we are actually increasing or decreasing the tempo of the song or the BPM of the song. If I'm increasing the tempo by +3 or -3 or +4 or -6 or whatever it is. So for that we have again now the sensitivity of this tempo fader is set at there are 4 different ranges, and the first range of that sensitivity is at +or -6. Now where can you tell that +or -6 is there is very simple. You can see this is over here. You can tell there is this section over there which says +or -6, or on the top section on the rotating part of the jog wheel, you can see just below 120 BPM there is a +or -6 numerical value given. So that means if I increase the tempo of the song, if I increase it to completely go up to the last part, now it is only going to go up to 127.2. But as I change the tempo range from +or -6 to +or -10, now I can go up to 132. Previously it was not possible. And now if I change the tempo range to +or -16, and now if I go there, it's going up to 139.2. And again, if I go to the fourth and the last option, which is wide, the tempo range known as wide, we can go to double the speed of this tempo, or the original tempo. The original tempo is 120, so we can go up to 240. So this is the song at 240 BPM, or the speed of the song right now. And we can go down up to 0 BPM per second. 0 BPM as in there is no freaking song playing. So as I keep increasing BPM, you can see how slowly the waveform is moving, how it's struggling to move. That means it's moving at 0.7 beats per minute. That means it will take every minute it's only going to play 0.7 beat, like almost half a beat probably in one minute. And as I keep increasing it, you can see the speed actually getting back up in. And it also creates a nice effect which you can use while you're DJing, if you want to start the section of the song, or if you want to stop your set or something like that. And now it's at 120 BPM per second. It's back at 120. Now how you can change the tempo range is again depends on every other controller and every other DJ equipment you have. They have different ways, and if it is a CDJ, it's very simple to change in a CD players. If you want to change in a actual CDJs like 2000Xs or 2000X2 or 3000s, you basically have a small button right above the tempo fader, like right above the tempo fader. If you check any of the photo or any of the image on the Google images for CDJ 2000X2 or CDJ 2000, you basically have a small button which says tempo range, and it shows you the different tempo ranges which are there. So right now for controllers, at least for this controller for DDJ 1000, you have to press the shift button and then press this master tempo. Right now, as soon as I press shift button, the master tempo button, the light has gone. So right now it is acting as tempo range. So if I press the tempo range now, again it's going to change to +or -6. So it's a circle now. The tempo range keeps repeating. It can go up to +or -6, 10, 16 wide, and then again 6, 10, 16 wide. So it keeps repeating. So we can choose in between whatever is the desired tempo range, how depending on what genre you're doing and how the songs are progressing. If the song is something at around, now if the song is at 130, the next song is at 130, and if you want to reduce that song to 120, or if the next song if you want to play, suppose this song is supposed to be played at 130, I can't now, because the tempo range is at 16, I can reach up to 139. But if the tempo range was suppose plus or minus 6, I couldn't reach up to even 120. I have to again change the tempo range to plus or minus 10 to reach up to 130, something like that. So depending on your style of DJing, your choices of song, your choices of genre, depending on that, you can change the tempo ranges. You can choose a certain tempo range while at the start of your opening set, or while you're starting your set. You can choose a tempo range and you can just keep going. Or else you can, if required while you're DJing, if required, you can just change, if it is required, right on the go, or the tempo range, and it's not going to affect. See, as long as you're not changing the tempo of the song which is playing in the master volume, or which is playing out loud right now. For example, if I want to change this song and get it to 120, for example, this is at 120. Suppose this song was actually playing at 123 bpm per second. I had changed the range, the flow of the set of my set, or the mix which was going on, was at 123. And if I want now to change the tempo range of this song, if I change, right now it is plus or minus 6, right? And if I changed it, it's going to jump to 125 directly, and that means it's a boost in the tempo. It's in the boost in the speed of the song, and it's going to because it was very little change, we are not able to feel it. Still, you can still observe that the speed of the song has actually increased. So that is why we'll never change the tempo range of the song which is playing out, which is the main song which the audience are hearing. You should change this tempo range of the song which you're choosing next, so that you can match the BPM to the song which is playing out. And one more important thing is, you'll never change the BPM. You can change, it's not a particular set rule that you should not change, but most of the time, at least when I am playing, I don't usually change the BPM of the main song which is playing outside. Suppose if this song is playing outside, I would not mess with this BPM right now. If I wouldn't reduce it. If I want, I would probably increase it if it is required. I can increase it slowly, but I can't reduce it. Now, basically, if I set a tempo, if it's starting from 119 or 120, and if it is going up to 125, and then again if I go down to 120, and it's going to feel like completely weird out. The whole vibe or the whole groove which the people are enjoying, it depends on people, how the audience is reacting. Most of the time, if you do something like that, the audience is not really going to enjoy it, and even your club promoters or your managers are not going to be really happy about what just happened, because you took the energy to another level and then completely dropped it. So that is very important when you're changing the tempo range. You're not supposed to change, be very careful when you're changing at least the tempo range, that you don't change the tempo range if the tempo of the song is already manipulated. Then if you try to change it, it might going to sound a little odd. So change the tempo range of the song which you're not which is not playing outside, to adjust that to the song which is playing already. So you can, most of the time, it is advised not to reduce the tempo when you're playing. If you can increase it. Suppose if it's at 120, I can slowly, very drastically, depending on how the song is progressing, I can slowly increase the tempo up to 3 or 4 beats more from the original tempo. But I can't drastically increase it up to 132. Just from 120, I can't just jump to 132. It's gonna sound really odd. It almost changes the complete genre itself. Every genre has their own desired tempo ranges. Again, if you're changing the tempo that drastically, then it's going to change the genre also sort of changes. Even though if it was made in this particular genre, but if you change in few certain songs, if you change the tempo that drastically, the genre also might feel like it has changed. So that is for the tempo fader and the tempo range. And next we have loop functions. Right now you can see what exactly the loop. Right now you can see the loop is actually activated, which is that 4 beats loop which I have activated. So it's an auto loop which I activated. You can activate it using, for controllers we have the option to automatically add for the controllers we have the option where we can automatically give the 4 beat loop. So if I just press a button, it's going to give me a 4 beat loop. But most of the players, the actual old CD players or the CDJs, like 350s or 800s and 900s, they don't really have the auto loop feature. Only in the latest equipments, they have the option of auto loop features. So if it is a manual loop, you'll probably have to get to a point where you actually want to start, like if I press the in button, that means that is the start of my loop, and if I press the out button, that is the out of my loop. So if I'm starting a song at here, and then I can stop the song at over here, like this much. This is, for example, these are for, let's suppose these are the 4 different beats: 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, and 4th beat, right? So if I start to press the in button at first beat over here and press the out button over here, that means I'm getting 1 bar loop or the 4 beat loop. And if suppose I press the 1 in button over here, and if I press the out button over here, that means I'm getting 2 beats loop. So example, that is what I'm going to be doing over here. So in, out. So this is the 2 beat loop which you're listening to right now. So now once you set the desired loop, like once you've set a particular loop, now suppose if you want to increase the loop, if you feel that you can actually increase, if the length of the loop should be increased, then we can again increase or decrease if you want to. If suppose the length of the loop is really long and if you want to decrease it, we can do it using this in and out button again. So in, like you can see on top of in, it is written as 1/2x, and on the out button it is also written as 2x. So basically it means it reduces the loop length by half a beat if you press in again, if it increases the loop length by 2 times if you press out again. So 2 plus 2 is what? 4. 22 is 4. So if I press out, it's gone to 4 beats. Now if I press it again, it's going to go to 8 beats, it's going to go to 16 beats. If I press again, 32 beats, and then 64, and then 128, and 256, and 512. I think 512 is the last which it goes up to. After 512, it's infinite. It doesn't really, we don't really have that long of a songs anymore. So 512 is the last, and then if I press the in button, it reduces now. If I keep pressing in button, 64 beats, 32 beats, 16 beats, 8 beats, and again 4 beats, 2 beats, 1 beat, half a beat, 1/4 of a beat, 1/8, 1/16, 132, 164. 164 is the last we can go up to, and if you can see, it sounds really like a robotic. It's just a noise right now. It's just some sort of a noise which we can use to. We can, if you're creative enough, you can use this sort of noise to create another sort of sound to mix into your mixes when you're mixing. But I don't really think we can use this sound to do any of that. But right now, if I increase it, and then 8, and now this sort of gives like a 2 and then 1. So basically, you must have seen, if you know the DJ called Afrojack, he uses this a lot for closing his sets, or most of the DJs use this sort of function, like they put a loop to a certain section of the song. For example, if it is, and now they keep going this, and they just rotate the jog wheel, and they stop the song like that. That's like a sort of a exit to, if you want to close your song with a high bang or something like that, you can do something like that. That is how we can also use your loops. But using basically loops is used to elongate a song, or if you want to mix a particular next section of the song, and if you don't want to miss out that section of the song, now you can really get creative of how you use your loops. There's no set rule how you have to use your loops. Using the loops is purely on your creativity. There is no rules, there are no limitations on how you use your loops, but that's all up to you. And now coming into the next part, this is the most important section of the tutorial video of this part. So this is something called master tempo, which we have. So we are not going to be discussing this section in this tutorial video, or at least in the next few videos we'll not be discussing this section. This is called pad mode. So this is pretty self-explanatory if you have your own controller. So right now let's just focus more on the master tempo section over here. So for that, before we start explaining you about the master tempo, we'll first keep the tempo range at ±16 for on both the decks. And let me just select a song. Okay, alright, so I'm gonna change one song, hopefully. Okay, so if you right now observe the tempo of the song, let's go to the part where over here. Now the tempo, if I have to change, if I want to play the next other song which is 130, right? And now what I can do is I can increase the tempo, but right now the master tempo is on, right? I'll off the master tempo and I'll try to increase it. As you can see, it sounds, the whole melody and the pitch of the song has changed completely. It's not like how it is supposed to be sounding. For example, if I go back again, like let me just set a cue mark. So, and now if I go to the original point, to the 0, you can see the pitch has changed again as I got to the half the point of it, and now again the pitch has changed again. So what happens if the master tempo is off, and if you change the tempo of the song in a very drastic way, the pitch also changes. But if I on the master tempo and if I change, now again if I do the same thing, the tempo is same. The pitch is only the speed of the song has increased, but the pitch is the same. Pitch has not changed. It still feels like the original song itself. But if I off the master tempo and do this, if I do the same thing with the master tempo off, it sounds really odd, right? And I'm going back down. And if I go down, it sounds very odd. Now if I on the master tempo and do the same thing, just observe, it sounds the same no matter what the speed of the song is. Right now, only the tempo of the song is changing. If you observe that, only the speed of the song is changing, but not the tempo. Now, if I have to show the same thing with the song which has vocals in it, let me make sure this song is. Okay, I'm just going to use this section of the song. Okay, let me. Okay, I'm just going to put this as a loop, and now if I change if I off the master tempo and you can see the vocal has completely changed, the voice of the singer has completely changed, and if I increase it, it sounds really odd, right? And as soon as I on the master tempo and go down, so as you observed over here, only the pitch is changed if the master tempo is off. It also changes the pitch as well as the speed of the song. But if the master tempo is on, the pitch is logged, but only the speed of the song changes. By pitch, I mean basically that is we'll be getting into the music theory part in the next few videos. It's going to be very basic music theory part. So basically, by pitch, I mean the key of the song. So what exactly key and everything? What do I mean by that? We'll be discussing in another video. Make sure you subscribe to our videos and click the bell icon and everything so that you're notified whenever we upload a new video. So whenever I'm changing the tempo of the song with the master tempo is off, his voice is also changing. But if the master tempo is on, it's not changing. Only the speed of the song is changing. So that is why a very important tip: make sure whenever you're starting to DJ, whenever you're starting your set, or when you're starting to mix, if it is at your house or if it is at a party or anything, make sure your master tempo is always on. Right now I have a master tempo button right over here, but I don't have the main screen over here, but you can also see it on your controller in the record box players. It will show as MT. It will be written as MNT. It might be grayed out. If it is off, it might be grayed out. If it is on, it will show as a red. It will show in a red letters MNT. So make sure that MT or the master tempo and few other controllers or on few other DJ softwares, it is known as key lock. The key lock is on, or the master tempo should always be on. If it is if it is off and if you try to change the tempo of the songs very drastically, it might sound really it might kill the vibe, basically what I mean by that. So I think pretty much we have covered all of the buttons which are required for you to know for starting out as a DJ. The quantize and the slip button is not really quantize is very important, but slip button is not really important. Quantize button, we'll be discussing it later once we get into putting your hot cues, when we use our hot cues and everything. And this is the very simple forward and the left out buttons, the forward and backward buttons. Like if the beat is off and if I just press this, it's like forward and backward button. And this is a jog adjust. Basically, jog adjust is basically the tightness of the jog wheel. Right now this is at light, so if I rotate this, it's rotating very fast, and if I go to the center and do this, it's not rotating as much as it was rotating before. And if I go completely to the heavy, it hardly rotates. It rotates only when I'm rotating. It gets the tightness of the jog wheel is controlled by this. Most of you, if you're having a very basic DJ controller, you might not have this option. You might only have the options on like bigger equipments like CDJs and DJ thousands and XDJs. Most of the XDJs have this option over here. So that's about it for the controller part. All the important functions which we use while for starting out as a DJ. And remaining for the quantize section is a very important section, but we'll be discussing it in another video, in future video, probably in after 4 or 5 videos when it gets actually important. Right now, for you to know, for you to start out, these are all the information which you might require, and what are all the knobs doing and what are all the buttons doing. In mixers are already covered, and CD players are also covered in 2 parts. So mixer also is covered in 2 parts, and CD players are also covered in 2 parts. And if you have any more doubts or questions, make sure you comment down below, and we'll try to answer all your questions. And make sure you subscribe, click the bell icon, and follow us on Instagram as well as on YouTube to make sure whenever we upload a video you are notified. And hope you all enjoy our videos. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next tutorial video.